how I got connected with him, he had a video that went viral, and it was someone from like the entrepreneur influencer space talking about how to get rich by owning basically 10 properties before you're 30. And if you can just do that, you'll be fine. And his pushback was like, oh yeah, I'll just go buy 10 properties, right? And the overall point is you have to have money to buy real estate. You mentioned arbitrage, where you do need some upfront capital if you're going to do it, to the first example.
Yeah.
On the second example, I can't remember what you talked about, but it's almost like you're getting paid a management fee.
Co-hosting, $0 required there.
So that's an opportunity for you to potentially get in the game without having money.
Oh, yeah.
What are a couple other options that we could end on for kids that are going, I want to own real estate. I would love to have 10 properties. But like I'm check to check right now. I don't have the money to put on a down payment. What are a couple options we could leave them so they can get to a point where maybe it's like you, they get 40 properties.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go more.
Okay. All right. So like how to break in low to no money down, right? Okay. So there's arbitrage. We talked about that. The risk. One of the risks I didn't say was the owner of that property could sell it. That's a big one. That's actually one of the bigger ones.
Dang, I didn't even think about that. That's obvious.
Yeah. There's a lot. I have like a whole list of them because I don't like it. But with this said, I have 4 arbitrage units. So I do it mostly so I can educate people my way. But they could sell it. There's co-hosting, which is the freest way, by far the best. You can go and partner with somebody. You can basically go look for a dumpster outside of a house where someone's renovating it and say, hey, what are you doing? I'd love to apprentice. I'd love to work for free. And then if I prove myself, maybe on the next one, I can manage it for you, make 10%. I don't do this, but I know a lot of people that make a ton of money doing this. This is how they started wholesaling. Okay. You can basically get a house under contract for $300K and sell it to an investor for $325,000, make a $25,000 spread. You can get into creative finance. We didn't even talk about that in this podcast, where, you can literally get in for no money down. I've been a part of a lot of deals where someone buys a property, they bought it a year ago, they have no equity, and they lose their job or they have to move suddenly, and they're willing to let you just take over the mortgage for free, take over the payments, but it's a whole thing. Sub 2. Right. What else could you do? Yeah, I mean, those are house hack. That's very low money down. Again, 3 to 3.5% of $400,000, super obtainable. But at the end of the day, like, the more money you have, the easier, right? So like when someone's like, I want to get it, I have no money. I'm like, go save your money,
right.
Like go save 10 grand, go save 10, 15 grand. And if you can do that, I think if you have like $10,000 to your name, you can go to an investor and say, hey, I've got nothing. I've got this 10 grand. Let me put this into your deal and let me work and show you that I want to do this. Because if someone's like, I got no money, but I'll help you. I'm like, okay, well, there's not really anything at stake for that person. But if they like, I got 10 grand, I'll put it into your deal and then you can teach me. I don't really do that now, but I'm just saying that would show me like, all right, they're putting everything on the line to actually learn and take this seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. That I think it doesn't get taught enough that if you know how to find deals or how to connect investors with deals, you can make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a personality type that's maybe more analytical, you don't want to be front facing, you don't want to be selling. Okay, good. You're going to be basically running the numbers on the deal. Maybe you're managing it. You're more of the operations. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to have your extroverts, right? They're the people person. They're going to be the ones with the relationships with the brokers that are helping you find the deals, or they're going to be the one talking to the investors who always are looking for investments. Mm-hmm. These people have money. They're not out here calling owners going, will you sell me your property, right?
Totally.
They just want to make a return on the money. And if you can partner with, if you're the extrovert with the introvert or vice versa, you now have a team that can go find assets to bring to investors. Now all of a sudden you're getting paid. But what I love about what you said is before you know what you're doing, go work for somebody. Go get involved. Give them money that's part of the deal and have sweat equity be what you're learning. Like, be creative. What I would say successful people love more than anything is finding young kids that remind them of themselves.
Big time, dude.
When they didn't know anything, but they were hungry and willing, right? They will take you under your wing if they see something in you that reminds them of what it was like when they started.
I mean, and I say all this with like, try to provide value to someone, because I think like what is not appealing to me is someone that's like, hey, Rob, I'll work for free for you. I don't know anything. I'm like, okay, well,
It's more energy for you.
you just created a lot of work for me because I got to mentor you so that you don't mess up, right? But if they're like, hey, I am really good at negotiating on the phone and cold calling, I'm like, great. You can save me many hours a day and cold call contractors for me or vendors for me. So it's like, what can you actually offer someone that's appealing? Because like, hey, let me pick your brain. That's not really all that appealing for me. And let me just say, like, for anyone listening to anything I'm saying, they're like, oh, easy for you to say. I actually started with very, very little money. I kind of showed you some of my path, but then I ran out of money very fast. What I did was I was super scrappy and I was like, I'm really good at this. So I went to my best friend. I'm like, dude, I found it. I'm making he's my now best friend. We weren't then, but we were good friends. I was like, dude, I found it. I'm making $1,000 a month doing this. He's like, how do we do it? I'm like, I don't have money, but if you can fund it, I need like $5,000 and we can do this. He was like, great. And then we went and we pitched his mom. Okay, that's where people are like, oh, well, must be nice. Great. Step one, have a rich mom. But we went to the best type of private money lender. We raised money. We bought a condo using that money. And then I would post about it. I would talk about my journey on the internet. I didn't have a platform. This is just to my personal friends and family. And guess what? I had several friends that reached out that were like, hey, that Airbnb thing is cool. Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can consult you for free, or maybe we could partner. And they're like, well, how would that look? And I was like, well, you could just ask me questions and I'll show you. Or I don't know, if you fund it and, like take out the loan at the bank, like I'll run it. And they were like, yeah, let's do that.
Percentage of it, totally.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, let's do that. And then I did it improv in LA at UCB, and I remember we were going around in a circle introducing ourselves. And everyone's like, hey, I'm John, I'm a poor actor. Hey, I'm Jan, I'm a poor model. And then they're like, what about you? And I'm like, I'm Rob, I work in advertising and I do Airbnb on the side. And they're like, what are you doing here? You're not one of us. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I remember we did a show and we bombed and we went to a bar afterwards. And one of the guys in that circle came up to me and goes, hey, dude, that sounded pretty cool. And I was like, yeah. He's like, I got money. I work a W-2. I want to learn what you do. He's like, I'll pay for it if you teach me how to do it. And I was like, sounds great. So we built a house together. We sold it a year later, made a $400,000 profit on it. And now he builds them out in Joshua Tree and he makes 6 figures doing it every single year. So I didn't have the money to do it. I never had the money to scale, but I found people that saw that I was good at this. I marketed myself by talking about it. I showed people that I was very serious about this, that I had done it, and I had put everything on the line to build my portfolio. And they believed in me and they invested with me. And that's how I've gotten from 0 to 40. So it is possible. Now I started with more money than the average person, of course, but like, not really. Like I was really broke for most of that, really.
Where can people find you to follow you, learn from you? What are all the channels?
Okay, so you can find me over at on YouTube at Raw Built. I am the largest Airbnb YouTube channel out there. You can find me every week, a couple times a week, on the Bigger Pockets podcast. I'm the co-host of that show. Instagram Raw Built, and I have a conference in the short-term rental space. If anyone's interested in getting in the room with 600 people, you can learn about that over at hostcon.com. I'm doing that in August, and man, really excited to do that for the 3rd time in a row. We sell it out every
Where's
year.
the conference?
It's in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna speak the next one.
Guys, go to this one. Let me know how it is. I will definitely be at the next year. Thank you so much, man.
Of course,
this was awesome.
Thank you.
If you like this clip, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch the entire hour-long interview, the link will be in the description. And make sure you're following the Life with Mikey podcast on Spotify and Apple.